The European Union has struggled to understand it has a completely unrealistic position in post-Brexit trade talks amid Boris Johnson's refusal to cave into its demands, according to a trade law expert. Boris Johnson has taken a different approach to UK-EU talks from the previous government, according to Shankar Singham, the CEO of trade law and economic policy consultancy, Competer, said that the UK will not cave into the EU's demands and that the Prime Minister has successfully got that across to Michel Barnier. Speaking to Westminster's future relationship with the European Union Committee, Mr. Singham said, "I think what was going on in the sort of June-July period was the EU were essentially negotiating with the UK government as it was prior to the new administration. The history of the negotiation was that if the EU remained firm with its very strong opening bid and did not deviate off its opening bid, then the history was that the UK would cave in. So, from a negotiating standpoint, I think the EU has just assumed that would continue, hence we have this issue where the EU has put forward this position. I would describe it as a completely unrealistic position, that another country would adopt your rule of law, your own legal order. They are doing that because they think the UK will ultimately cave in and simply accept the EU's demands. I think what the UK had to get across, and it has succeeded, is that it is not going to cave in like it had done in the past. That is quite hard for the EU to understand, that there is quite a different approach now. Talks on a trade deal and future relationship have made little progress since Britain left the European Union in January, and almost unraveled when London introduced the Internal Market Bill, raising fears of no agreement. Britain also says it is working hard to reach an agreement, but has stuck to its position that any deal must respect the country's sovereignty, putting it at odds with Brussels on state aid rules and fisheries. The EU says because of Britain's proximity to the bloc, London must agree to a so-called level playing field of fair competition guarantees. The two sides will hold the next round of formal talks next week in Brussels before a summit in October 1–2 to assess progress and decide whether the bloc should step up no-deal preparations.